Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Teresa and today I'm doing the mid-year book freakout tag. Okay, I cannot believe it is already July. How is that possible? I know we say this every month, but it really seems like this year has flown by. I feel like the older I get, the shorter the year feels, which is scary. So this tag has 13 questions. I don't know who the original creator is. This is just a tag that's been going around for years on Booktube and everyone seems to do it, so I would like to join in the fun. I apologize if you hear fan noises in the background. It's very, very warm. Even though I'm filming at night, it's still very warm. It's gonna be like a crazy warm 4th of July weekend. We normally get rain on the 4th of July, like almost every year it rains. It's supposed to be 96 degrees. Crazy, just crazy. Okay, let's go ahead and just get into the tag. So question number 1 is the best book you've read so far in 2023. This was a hard one because I have read some amazing books this year. But as I was looking through all of the books that I've read, all of my 5 stars, the one I decided that so far is my favorite is The Souls of Lost Lake by Jamie Jo Wright. I adored this book. This book had everything that I wanted. This book is dual timeline and takes mystery in the past, mystery in the present. They kind of, not Coraline. They align. I was trying to say coordinate and align. It came out Coraline. So in the present timeline, we have a story of a woman named Blythe who has very severe anxiety. She keeps having these premonitions almost, or these dreams that she feels like are related to the events that are going on around her. She is a worker at a Christian youth camp in the woods of Wisconsin, and a young girl goes missing, and basically she tries to help find the young girl. In the past, in 1930, there is a young girl named Ava Coons who pretty much is kind of a Lizzie Borden situation, okay? Because she came out of the woods carrying an axe covered in blood, couldn't tell anybody what happened, and her whole entire family had disappeared. And so now in the present day, there's this urban legend. And so people are saying oh, Ava Coons took this young girl. So you have, present day with the possibility of Ava Coons' spirit and possibly taking the young girl. And then in the past, you actually follow Ava Coons and kind of figure out if she really did this crime, and the town kind of turns against her, and there's more murders that are starting to happen. It's great. It's murder mystery. It's Lizzie Borden inspired. And this cover is most definitely the atmosphere that you get in this book. I loved it. So favorite of the year so far. The next question is the best sequel I have read so far. Now, I haven't read very many series this year. I've started a couple, but I haven't really continued in any. But one that I recently just read was the sequel in a duology, and that was Miriam by Masu Andrews. This I can definitely say, it is one of the top books of the year, and I can definitely say it is the best sequel that I have read. This is a follow-up from Pharaoh's Daughter. So Pharaoh's Daughter basically follows the life of the woman who rescued Moses from the Nile. If those of you who aren't aware of what I'm talking about, Moses from the Bible, when the Israelites were enslaved by Egypt. Pharaoh's daughter rescued him and raised him as her own son, and it was her story. And now this is many years in the future. We're following Miriam, who is Moses's older sister, who is the first prophetess of Israel. And during this time that we are following Miriam is the time that Moses comes back from the wilderness and is telling Pharaoh, let my people go. Pharaoh is not having any of it, and the plagues descend upon Egypt. It was so good. I don't know if I like this one better than Pharaoh's Daughter, but they're like this, you guys. Oh my gosh, such a good story. The character work in these stories, so beautiful. And then the history, the research that goes into this Masu Andrews books is amazing and fascinating, and I love not only the biblical history but the cultural history of Egypt, of Israel, of the character work of these people. I could go on forever. This was the best sequel so far this year that I've read. Number 3 is a new release that you have not read yet, but want to. As of right now, one of the main book that has come out that I really want to read and I haven't got around to it yet is The Vanishing at Castle Monroe. This is Jamie Jo Wright's newest book. Actually, I know she has another one that's coming out this year. I don't know if it already came out yet or not. I think we're still waiting on it. So this one is the one that is officially out. So this, I don't really remember much about what it's about. All I know is that it's gothic, it's spooky, it's dual timeline, mysteries in the past, mysteries in the present that somehow intertwine. I love everything that she does. She is by far one of my favorite authors, and I am itching to get my hands on this book. Question number 4 is, what is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year? So a book that has not yet come out. And oh my gosh, this book was supposed to come out last year and it didn't. And I'm just like, it keeps getting pushed back. Like, it was supposed to come out in the summer and now they're saying it's coming out in November. I'm like, please come out this year because I need the conclusion to this story so badly. And that is A Curse of Krakens by Kevin Herney. This is book 3 in the Seven Kennings series trilogy. Oh my gosh, you guys. This is like high fantasy. I don't even know how to describe this. It's like war. It's about this country, this place that was invaded by these people, and there are these Kennings, which are like magical powers. You get people that control water, people that control earth, people that can talk to animals. It just, there's so many, there's 7 of them, you know. Well, there's 6 and then they think there might be a 7, like they're trying to find out there's a 7. And it follows all these different people in all these different areas of life, but like they're all dealing with kind of the same thing with the war and with these giants that come and invade their land. Oh my gosh, I love the series so much. I never hear anybody talking about it, but I think they're amazing. I've listened to them on audiobook because they're full cast, brilliant series. If you like fantasy, like high fantasy, check out these books. I think they are so unique and so well done, and I mean I highly recommend listening to them on audiobook. But yeah, the 3rd one in the series is supposed to be coming out. It's supposed to come out in November. I'm just like, please do, because I need to know what happens next. Okay, number 5 is your biggest disappointment of the year so far, and I am very, very sad to say that my biggest disappointment so far this year is All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. I'm so sad. I'm so sad that this book, this was a 2-star, maybe a 2.5 for me. But look at this cover. Look at this cover. It's so beautiful. It's like screams me. Like, I want to live here. Like, for real, want to live here. Ashley Flowers is the host of Crime Junkies, which is like the most popular true crime podcast in the world. I love the podcast. I love her. And I was very, very excited to read this book. And I had really high hopes for it. And it majorly disappointed. This is about a story of a woman who, when she was a child, her neighbor, her friend, went missing and was later found dead. And she was like a 7-year-old child. And then she ends up moving away and comes back as an adult to help take care of her ailing uncle who has dementia. And when she comes back to town, there is another missing girl who ends up murdered in the next town over. Very, very similar circumstances to the first girl. And so she also is an investigative reporter. I don't think I said that, but she's trying to investigate and figure out what happened to the new missing girl and her friend from the past. So the premise sounds amazing, right? The problem with this is, now I didn't coin this. I was reading Goodreads giveaways and someone said this and I was like, yes, on the nose. They said that this is JonBenet Ramsey fanfic. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, you are correct. For those of you who don't know who JonBenet Ramsey is, back in the 90s, I believe, like early 90s, there was this young girl who was a beauty pageant queen. I don't know, she won a lot of awards. She was very in the beauty pageant world. She was murdered, and her murder to this day is still unsolved. There is a lot of speculation about who did it, if it was a stranger, if it was inside source. There's a lot in this case. So there was like a ransom note left, but then they thought that she was kidnapped, and then they found her in the basement, and there's a lot of things that, it's a very fascinating case. It's a very fascinating case. If you are interested, I highly recommend looking it up. But this is almost a play-by-play retelling of the case. Now, I love stories based on true stories, inspired by true stories, but this one is so similar that it just felt wrong. She couldn't make up her own story. Like, it was like, change a little bit of the names, change a little bit of the history of the people. Other than that, it's the John Benet Ramsey case. It was just like, you couldn't do more with it. And this has a super ambiguous ending, which sometimes I'm okay with that. In this book, I was not okay with that. I was so angry at this ending. It's just like, no, you cannot end it like that. What are you thinking? What are you thinking, Miss Flowers? So yeah, unfortunately, major disappointment. But on the other hand, question number 6 was biggest surprise of the year so far. And I would say that my biggest surprise would be A Slip of a Girl by Patricia Riley Giff. Now, this one is an adorable middle grade. It's written in verse, and it takes place during the Irish Land Wars, which I believe is the early 1900s, where the Irish are basically trying to take their land back from the their English overlords, I guess. This is written in verse, like I said. It had pictures throughout the book of like real pictures from back then of the situations that were happening. And this book just touched my heart. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, going into it, like, oh, it's fine. I mean, just this cute little middle grade, you know, whatever. But I was pleasantly surprised at how beautiful this book was. I loved the main character. It's about this girl who, her mother passes away, and she promises that she is going to help her father save the family farm. And her baby sister is nonverbal, and there is a lot of things that happen on her adventure to try and save the farm and deal with the taxes and the police. I don't know, they're not called police, but they're something else with the English patrol and their overseers and landowners and all that kind of stuff. There's so much depth in this book and so much history and love of home and country in this book that it just touched my heart. I read this both for the Irish Readathon, Irish Readathon, Middle Grade March, and for my Reading Through My Ancestry Challenge, my Irish edition, because I do have Irish blood in me, Irish DNA. And I just felt so connected to Ireland when I was reading this book. The author was saying that she kind of was telling this of like her grandmother's story, so it was kind of loosely based on her grandma, and I could just feel the love of country, of home, of family in this book. It was so beautiful, and it made me nostalgic and like homesick for Ireland. I've never been there. But this was definitely the biggest surprise, because I was not expecting to feel so emotional and have so much love for this little middle grade. Question number 7 is favorite new author. So that could be either a debut author or a new to you author. And I was gonna say Maysu Andrews, because I am totally loving her stuff, but she's not new to me because I did read one of her books last year and loved it. So an author that I'm choosing, that I'm saying is like one of my new favorite authors, is Nadine Brandes, who wrote Waistress. This book, oh my goodness, the hype is legit for this. Like, I have heard nothing but amazing things about this, and then I read it and I was like, yes, it deserves all of its hype. It is so good. I absolutely adored the writing style. I don't know, it was so good. I am going to be talking about, I've actually read this in the beginning of June, so I will be talking about it in my June wrap up. You guys stay tuned for that. But now I'm like, I have to go read every single thing this author has written, because her writing is beautiful. So immersive, just so like the character work was really amazing. She made her characters, a lot of them were pretty like gray, you know, like they were morally gray, and they weren't all good and all bad, and they were human, you know, like very human characters experiencing some pretty heavy stuff. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much I love this book. So yeah, new favorite author for sure, Nadine Brandes. And question number 8 is your newest fictional crush. So y'all know I don't read romance books. Like I don't really crush on book characters anymore. But I would say if I was to have a crush on any character, it would be Bastian from Waistress. I love his character, his heart, his willingness to serve, his goodness. He totally makes some pretty big mistakes, but he does them like for the right reasons, you know, and he owns up to his mistakes, and he's just an amazing character. I love how he treats Mirth. I love their relationship, how he is so focused and in love with the well, and the thing that gives him his powers is the light. I can't remember exactly what they call it, but oh my gosh, I loved him so much. So I would say that, like, if I was to say I have a fictional crush or a crush on a fictional character, it would definitely be Bastien from Wistress. Question number 9 is your newest favorite character. And you guys, let's talk about the Souls of Lost Lake. Ava Coons. I adored Ava Coons. She is this sassy young girl who just speaks her mind, and there's this line in here where she talks, where I wish I could, like, I need to find the quote and like write it down because I loved it. It was something about how, like, just because she can't read or can't understand a certain thing doesn't mean that she's stupid. And I was like, girl, yes. Like, just because, you know, you maybe not have the correct schooling doesn't mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you weren't given every opportunity that other people were given in life, you know? And she's wounded, but she's strong and passionate about what she believes in. She is not one to back down from a challenge, and I just adore her. I know, like, it sounds kind of bad because she's like supposed to be like the Lizzie Borden in the book, you know, but still, I thought she was an amazing character. I thought she had good depth and insight into things, and just the way that she handled herself and dealt with the situations around her, loved. Absolutely loved. So yeah, Ava Coons from the Souls of Lost Lake, by far my favorite character so far this year. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry, and I've actually had a couple books that have made me cry this year, but the book that I'm going to talk about is one I very recently read. The reason why this made me cry so much. Okay, so the book is Once There Was, and this is by Kayash Monsef. I'm so sorry about pronouncing names incorrectly. This is a new release that just came out. It is a fantasy, and it is about a young girl whose father is murdered, and basically after he is murdered, she finds out that he was a veterinarian to mystical creatures. So she knows he's a vet to like regular animals, but apparently mystical creatures, think like griffins and fairies and manticores and trolls, unicorns, exist, and he was a veterinarian to these creatures, and so she kind of has to take up the mantle. And so while she's trying to figure out what the heck's going on, how she's going to treat these animals, because she is a high school student and she's left with a lot of debt from her father, and also trying to figure out, you know, who murdered her dad. Yeah, it's a great story. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. The thing that made me cry though, and this is also a trigger, so this book has my one and only trigger, and that is pet death. And the way that it was done, okay, first off, I gotta say the way that it was handled was super respectful. I thought that it could not have been handled any better, in my personal opinion. It was just very triggering to me. In this book, there is the death of a pet. And it's done very lovingly, very respectfully, with like the utmost care that I think that you could. I mean, I truly don't think the author could have written it any better, been any more respectful for the situation. But, you know, you're talking about the loss of a pet, and it was just a lot of the things that the author was saying and talking about, and the experiences that basically the way that things were happening and the experiences that these characters were experiencing around the death of this animal brought up a lot of memories for me, and very much made me cry. I gotta say, if I knew that this was in this book, I probably would never have picked it up, but I'm glad that I didn't know, because I did really enjoy this book. And even though there was a part in this book that was very intense for me and very difficult to read, I am glad I read it. I really truly am, because it was a beautiful, lovely story. So yes, it made me cry probably more than any other book that I've read this year. I'm not normally a big crier in books, but this one I was like sobbing. Yeah, so let's move on to the next question, which is so much better. Book number 11, or question number 11, a book that made you happy. Okay guys, honestly, there's this little middle grade that I read in May that just, my heart was so happy reading it. And it was not this one, but it was the first book in this series. So this is a Dream Traveler's Quest series by Ted Dekker and Kara Decker, and the book number 1 was Into the Book of Light. This is book number 2. This is The Curse of Shadow Man. You can see the size, it's about the same size. Very small, cute little book. The first book made me so gosh darn happy, because what I did not know going into this story is that this story is a continuation of Ted Dekker's Circle series universe, of his fantasy world that he has created. It is very intensely linked. You actually have some of the same characters in here from the original stories, and my heart was so happy reading this book. I was smiling so big because I loved that series. That series is seriously one of the series that like changed my life as a young adult. As a teenager, I read it, and it impacted me. I mean, to this day, I still think about it. Like, it's so good. And so when I picked up the first book in this series, I had no idea that it was connected until I started reading it. And then I was just like, oh my gosh. And like some familiar characters popped up, and I was like, I was so happy. I was like squealing. Like, yes, I know it's bad, but I was, because it was so gosh darn cute. And it just made my heart so happy, and I cannot wait. I'm reading this book this month, continuing with the series, and I cannot wait to get back into this world because I love it so gosh darn much. So yeah, that book made me incredibly happy. Now we're down to the last 2 questions. Question number 12 is, what is the most beautiful book you've bought this year? This is hard, y'all, because I subscribe to Owl Crate, and I also got a few Fairy Loots. Those books are always so gorgeous, so I'm like, how do I choose? So the first 2 I'm going to talk about that are just regular everyday covers, nothing special, but that I think are absolutely gorgeous, are All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. I think this cover is stunning. And the other one that I picked up in January, I actually picked these both up in January, was What We Harvest by Anne Fristat. This cover, I don't know what it is about this cover, but I find this absolutely stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. Like, there's nothing special about it. This is the, it's just a naked hardback. This is the original cover, but it's so beautiful. It's so, I don't know, I just, like, it's creepy for sure, but I love it. I don't know why. I just think it's stunning. And this one, because like I want to live in this cover, because this is gorgeous. So those are the 2 like regular books that I've bought. Now let's move on to some of the Owl Crates. So I have 2 of the same book. I got one from Owl Crate and one from Fairy Loot. They happen to be in the same book in the same month, but they are drastically different looking. And that would be Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken. So this is the Fairy Loot edition. This is very similar to what the original cover looks like. I think the color is just a little bit different. But check out that spine. Check out that spine. Is that not the coolest thing ever? And then we got the back. And the best thing about this, look at those sprayed edges, guys. Look at that sprayed edge. Like, what the heck? That is so pretty. Okay, and then we got under the dust jacket, we got some like fun character art here, and then we got some pretty end pages, and there we go, there's the thing, no under the dust jacket, but just beautiful. And I am obsessed with that. I don't know if it's going to focus on it, but I'm obsessed with it. And then here is the Owl Crate version. As you can see, I completely redesigned in every way, shape, and form. absolutely gorgeously stunning. It has silver edges. Under the dust jacket, it has this absolutely beautiful, haunting, naked hardback. This amazing foiling on the end pages and artwork under the dust jacket. So yeah, these books are, I mean, again, the same book, but different things that are special about them. So absolutely stunning. And then I have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This one is absolutely amazing. So it's got these ridiculously beautiful stencil edges. It's got a ribbon bookmark. It's got foiling on the hardcover, gorgeous end papers, and a cool reverse dust jacket. Yeah, this one, it's so pretty. It's so gosh darn pretty. And then the last one, this last one, which is probably one of my favorites that I have received this year to date as far as the gorgeousness of this book. And that is The Spice Road by Maya Abraham, I think. But is that not just gorgeous? Look at, y'all. How stinking pretty, right? Oh my gosh, just stunning. And then you take off the dust jacket, and you get this ridiculously pretty hardback. Like, is that not gorgeous? And we have a reverse dust jacket, and then crazy cool end papers as well. So yeah, those are some of the most beautiful books that I have received. So this is a Fairy Loot one, actually. Yeah, so 2 Fairy Loots and 2 Outbreaks. But yeah, those are the most beautiful books that I have received this year, or that I have bought. Now, this last question is, are there any books that you need to read before the end of the year? And like most people are saying, yeah, like all of them. There are so many. But I have 23 books that I want to read this year. I have my little reading journal here. It's not completely filled out, but I do have the covers of the books. I'm missing one somehow. I don't remember what book that's supposed to be. But these are all the books that I want to read this year. And so far I've read 4 of the 23. So hey, you know what? I'm making a little bit of progress. So I'm just gonna rapid fire go through really quickly and tell you what I have left to read. I have Bite Me by Ali Hilfiger, Hostage to the Devil by Malachi Martin, Over the Edge by Brandolyn Collins, Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, Mark of the Line by Suzanne Aruda, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, ED33 by Ted Decker, Inside of a Dog by Alexandra Horowitz, House of Dark Shadows by Robert Lepelio, A Billion Years by Mark Ryder, Another Woman's Daughter by Fiona Suzman, The Drowned Woods by Emily Lloyd-Jones, The Science of Jurassic Park and the Lost World by Rob DeSalle and David Lindley, Scythe by Neil Schusterman, Inheriting Clutter by Julie Hall, All Eyes on Her by L.E. Flynn, City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, The Day Human Prince by B. Christian McMichael, and I don't remember what the other one is. I will put it here. But those are all of the books that I am hoping to get to by the end of the year. Can I do it? Yes. Will I do it? We don't know. We don't know. There are so many books that I want to read that I'm like, you know, should I prioritize the ones that I said I should prioritize? Probably. Am I going to? That's a good question. And that is only going to be answered by future me, because I can't tell you at this point in time what that's gonna be. Okay, there it is, guys. The mid-year book freakout tag is done. Oh my gosh, I am a little bit freaking out because I still have quite a bit of books to read, but all in all, it's just a loose thing that I want to do. As far as my goals go, I have a goal to read 100 books this year. I am exactly on track at 48 books read. I'm currently in the middle of 49, so I should have no problem completing that goal. And yeah, there you are. That is my tag video. If you want to do this tag, it's fun. I enjoy it. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of my questions or my answers. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you have similar tastes, different tastes? Like this video. Of course, subscribe if you have not already for more videos by me, and I will hope to see you in my next video. Bye guys.